A human engineer inherits the galaxy's largest warship. Then everything stops. A soft hum filled his small workshop, echoing through the walls of the cramped building. On the surface of Arden 7, a small human colony at the edge of the galaxy, this was normal. Machines broke. Humans fixed them. But Elias was more than a fixer. He had a gift. Something no one in the colony could understand, yet everyone relied on him. He was tall, with a lean frame, sun-baked skin from years working under harsh colony suns, and eyes that seemed to miss nothing. His hands were steady, precise, capable of coaxing life out of machines thought beyond repair. Today, he had fixed 3 drones, a broken transport rover, and even an old alien scanner that had sat idle for decades. And yet, despite all his skills, Elias had always felt small. The galaxy was vast. Human colonies were at the edges, forgotten by the great alien civilizations. Most humans dreamed of stars but never reached them. Most humans had little power. Elias was human. He fixed machines. That was it. Then, out of nowhere, everything changed. The notification came on a thin holographic screen that flickered in his workshop. It was official. Not a colony notice. Not a shipping invoice. A galactic inheritance notice. To Mr. Elias Ward, you are hereby declared the sole inheritor of the vessel designated Aegis Titan. All rights, access, and responsibilities accompany this notice. Elias stared at the words. His heart beat faster. He read them again. Aegis Titan, the largest warship in known space. Not a ship, not a cruiser. A colossal warship, a vessel so vast it could orbit a planet and dwarf it in size. Ancient alien records called it a myth, a legend. Some even said it was cursed. And now, somehow, it belonged to a human. Yeah, right, Elias muttered, rubbing his face. Sure. Someone finally remembered me. But there was no joke in the message. The coordinates to the Aegis Titan were real, and the ship was orbiting an uncharted system in neutral space. No one else had touched it in centuries. Packing only what he needed, Elias boarded his small shuttle and left the colony behind. The stars stretched endlessly around him, familiar yet overwhelming. He had piloted through asteroid belts and mining fields, but nothing like this awaited him. Nothing could prepare him for the enormity of what he was about to see. Hours later, the Aegis Titan emerged from the darkness. Elias' breath caught. The ship was enormous, like a small city floating in space. Its hull glinted faintly in the starlight, black and silver with intricate patterns etched into the metal. Docking bays the size of moons yawned open, and silent turrets lined the ship like sleeping guardians. Elias docked his shuttle, heart pounding. The airlock opened and he stepped inside. Immediately, the scale overwhelmed him. Corridors stretched farther than any building he had ever entered. Lights flickered on as he passed, responding to his presence. It felt alive. Somehow, it seemed to know he had arrived. He reached the bridge, the command center of the vessel. One massive console sat at the front, an alien interface glowing softly, wires and energy conduits snaking across the room. He stepped closer. Every instinct told him to touch it, to feel its energy. Hesitation wavered for a moment. Then, like a reflex, he reached out. The moment his fingers brushed the console, the ship shivered. Lights along the corridors flared to life. The hum of dormant engines grew louder. The air vibrated with power. Elias stumbled back. The sheer force of energy was unlike anything he had felt. His shuttle's systems, even his own tools, buzzed in resonance. The ship had awakened. For a while, nothing else happened. Then the console flickered, displaying words in a language he didn't know. The symbols shifted and changed, almost as if they were alive, rearranging themselves in patterns only his mind could follow. Elias stared, realizing that the interface responded to human thought, not commands typed or spoken. He spent hours exploring. Systems that aliens had failed to unlock for centuries yielded to his intuition. Shields activated at his will, engines hummed, and the ship's defense grid scanned the surrounding space. He discovered hangars filled with starfighters, drones, and weapons that no human had ever dreamed of. And yet, the more he explored, the more he realized how dormant the galaxy had become. Communication channels were dead. Navigation arrays showed no activity beyond this system. Planets that should have been teeming with life appeared silent, and the stars, some seemed frozen, their light caught in an impossible stillness. A chill ran down his spine. The ship was not only alive, it had stopped the galaxy. As he walked the corridors, he saw evidence of alien life, long abandoned. A control room held holograms of battles fought centuries ago. One console displayed a warning: "Do not awaken the Aegis Titan unless authorized." Elias frowned. Authorized? By whom? And why had a human been chosen? He pressed forward, entering the main bridge again. The console pulsed rhythmically, almost as if it was breathing. He realized he could interface with it directly. Patterns of alien logic swirled on the screen, but his mind, trained to fix, adapt, and improvise, began to untangle them. Then a warning flashed, initiating galaxy-wide systems integration. The ship hummed. Lights flared. A deep, resonant tone echoed in the bridge. Elia's pulse quickened. The entire galaxy, every known system, was connected to this ship. He could feel the energy flowing like rivers through space. It was overwhelming, beautiful, terrifying. Elias took a deep breath. He was a human, just a human, a fixer, a tinkerer. Yet here he stood, aboard a vessel that could rival entire civilizations. His mind raced with possibilities. If he could master this ship, he could explore the edges of the galaxy, unite human colonies, maybe even make humans respected by other species. And yet he sensed danger. Alien powers would notice soon. The moment they saw a lone human in control of the Aegis Titan, suspicion and hostility would follow. Fleets could arrive at any time. And what about the stasis? Why had the galaxy gone silent? Was it a trap? He shook his head, focusing. One step at a time. For now he would explore, understand, and survive. The ship seemed to respond to his touch, his intuition, his reasoning. It was like it knew him. And maybe, just maybe, that was the reason he had been chosen. Hours turned to days as he mapped systems, tested engines, and activated smaller compartments. He discovered storage bays filled with supplies, repair units, and even stasis pods that could house species long extinct. There were manuals, but they were alien, incomplete, written in symbols that no translator could fully decode. Yet Elias didn't need manuals. He had human ingenuity. He could improvise. By the end of the first week, Elias had done the impossible. The Aegis Titan was partially operational. He could move the ship, power some systems, and even engage defensive grids. Yet one question remained: why him? Why had the galaxy allowed a human, an insignificant species in the eyes of ancient civilizations, to inherit the greatest warship ever built? And then, as he stood on the bridge, touching the console one more time, the ship did something he had never expected. The hum of energy surged brighter, faster. The stars outside the viewport seemed to pulse, and then everything stopped. Not just ships or communications, not just colonies, not even the light of distant suns. The galaxy itself held its breath. Elias felt a tremor run through his body. He staggered back from the console. The ship's systems glowed brighter than ever, and a new display appeared, symbols that seemed almost sentient. A message, perhaps, waiting for him, waiting for a human to respond. He realized with a shiver that this was only the beginning. The inheritance was more than a gift. It was a challenge, a test, and the galaxy would not move again until he proved himself worthy. Elias took a deep breath, steadying his hands. He was a human. Alone at the edge of the galaxy on a ship that could outmatch civilizations, and he was about to wake the universe. The hum deepened, resonating in his chest. The ship had chosen him. Now he would have to choose the galaxy. And with that, Elias Ward stepped fully onto the bridge of the Aegis Titan, ready to embrace what no human had ever faced before. The galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. Elias stood on the bridge of the Aegis Titan, staring at the stars that no longer twinkled. The lights of distant colonies were gone. Communications channels were dead. Even the usual hum of cosmic radiation seemed muted, as if space itself had taken a deep, holding breath. He tried to contact the nearest human colonies. Static, not even a flicker of response. He opened other channels, alien networks, interstellar trade arrays, military grids. Nothing. The galaxy had gone silent. Elias' mind raced. The Aegis Titan was powerful, unlike anything he had ever touched, but could it have done this? Could he, a human, without even knowing the ship's full capabilities, have caused the entire galaxy to stop? He walked the corridors, running his hands along the ship's metal walls, feeling vibrations in the air. The vessel thrummed with energy, alive in ways he could feel deep in his bones. He entered the main engine room, where the heart of the ship pulsed like a giant, invisible heart. Machines, alien in design and incomprehensible in complexity, seemed to respond to his presence. Then he realized something extraordinary. The Aegis Titan wasn't just awake, it was thinking with him, or maybe it was letting him think with it. Systems he didn't understand responded to his intuitive touch. He had no instructions, yet he could operate engines, activate defense grids, and even manipulate smaller ships within the hangars. Elias spent hours walking the corridors, opening new compartments, and exploring rooms that had never been touched in centuries. In the alien libraries, he found stasis pods, frozen life forms, and weapons that could level planets. But there was no sign of life, no signals. The galaxy was as still as a painting. He returned to the bridge, frustrated, and slammed a fist against the console. A soft chime echoed, a warning, almost a sigh. The ship was aware of his frustration. Symbols appeared on the screen, moving and rearranging themselves. They weren't words, not exactly. They were patterns, like logic and thought had been translated into visual form. Elias frowned. "What do you want from me?" he muttered. For hours he studied the symbols. Slowly he began to see patterns. The ship system wasn't just powerful, it was connected to a larger network. A network of dormant satellites, warships, and devices scattered across the galaxy. This network had been designed to maintain control, to protect civilizations from something the ancients feared. And the network had stopped. The realization hit him like a punch. The galaxy wasn't just quiet, it was frozen, locked in a stasis designed by beings long extinct. The Aegis Titan had reactivated the network, and only someone capable of understanding its systems could move the galaxy forward again. Elias took a deep breath. This was beyond any engineering challenge he had faced. It was a puzzle of cosmic proportions. And the answer. He might be it. Hours turned into days. Elias explored the ship's hangars, discovering small starfighters, drones, and autonomous repair units. He activated them one by one, marveling at their precision. They responded to him without hesitation, as if recognizing him as their commander. Yet, even with all this power, the question remained: why had he, a human, been chosen? Humans were small, fragile, and scattered across the galaxy. Aliens often considered them unremarkable. And yet here he was, aboard a vessel that could challenge empires, with the galaxy itself frozen around him. The first visitors arrived the following week. Alien scouts, sleek and metallic, appeared in orbit. Their ships were unlike anything Elias had seen, streamlined, armed, and clearly designed for speed and attack. They didn't hail him in words. Instead, they sent a visual message, projecting themselves in the bridge as shimmering holograms. "You are not authorized," said one in a voice that vibrated in the air. "A human cannot control the Aegis Titan. Surrender it." Elias stared. "I didn't ask for this," he said, "but I am here, and I think it's awake." The alien scanned him, sending energy pulses across the bridge. The Aegis Titan responded instantly, creating a shield that rippled around the ship. The aliens recoiled. Elias realized something incredible. The ship recognized him in ways alien technology could not override. "I'm not your enemy," Elias said, holding up his hands. "I'm just trying to understand this ship." The alien hesitated, then its projection flickered. "You are unusual." Elias smirked. "I've been called that before." The alien withdrew, but not entirely. It was clear the galaxy would not leave him alone. Fleets would arrive, spies would try to board, and every species that had once desired the Aegis Titan would see a lone human as a threat. Elias returned to the ship's library, digging deeper into alien archives. There, he discovered partial records of the Aegis Titan's creation. It had been built by a coalition of ancient civilizations, species long extinct. They feared that any single species could dominate the galaxy, so they built the network. Its purpose was not war, it was control, a failsafe to ensure no one could wield this power irresponsibly. The network had been waiting for someone capable, someone intelligent, someone adaptable. Elias realized with a shiver they had chosen a human. He tested the ship's systems further. The engines responded to his intuition, not protocols. Weapon arrays aligned, scanning the galaxy for threats. Even the stasis network seemed to respond to him, shifting energy flows and preparing for reactivation. The first real test came when he attempted to activate a navigation array. The system resisted at first. Symbols glowed violently. Energy surged through the ship. For a moment, Elias feared the Aegis Titan might reject him, destroy him, or worse, collapse under its own power. Then he remembered something simple. Humans didn't always follow logic perfectly. Sometimes, humans solved problems by thinking differently, by improvising. He adjusted, tried a new approach, and suddenly the system stabilized. The array hummed. The ship responded. The galaxy around him remained frozen, but the first connection had been made. Days passed. Elias worked tirelessly, learning, improvising, exploring. He discovered hidden chambers, alien tools, and even dormant life support systems capable of sustaining thousands. He realized the Aegis Titan was not just a warship, it was a city, a fortress, and a research station all in one, and it seemed to trust him. Then came the dream or vision. As he rested on a small deck, the ship powered down temporarily to conserve energy. Elias felt a presence in his mind. Images flashed, alien civilizations, great battles, massive networks of ships, and a glowing core that seemed alive. It spoke not in words but in thought, a challenge, a question. "Are you worthy?" Elias sat up, heart pounding. I don't know," he whispered. "You must decide," the presence said. "The galaxy awaits your choice." He realized this was the conscious core, the intelligence designed to judge who could wield the Aegis Titan, and it was testing him. He spent hours contemplating. Power was nothing without responsibility. The core seemed to sense this. Every move he made, every system he activated, every repair or adjustment was evaluated, and the ship responded to human intuition in ways aliens could not predict. Elias felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. He was a human, alone, yet he had awakened a force that could reshape the galaxy, and soon he would have to prove that humans were not just small, fragile creatures. They were clever, adaptable, and capable of extraordinary thinking. The silence of the galaxy began to feel like a test. Each moment was a question. Could he act with wisdom? Could he navigate systems older than any human civilization? Could he handle the Aegis Titan without destroying himself or the galaxy? Then, another signal arrived. Alien fleets had gathered at the edges of known space. They did not know what had happened. They did not understand the stasis. They only saw a human aboard the galaxy's largest warship, and they feared. Elias smiled faintly. He had expected this. He had been underestimated before. Aliens always underestimated humans, But now, aboard the Aegis Titan, he was not underestimated anymore. He returned to the bridge and touched the main console. "Okay," he said softly. "Let's see what you want me to do." The symbols shifted, glowing brighter, pulsing with energy. The ship's engines hummed. The stasis network began to ripple, slowly releasing its hold on the galaxy. Stars shimmered faintly. Signals began to flicker. The first planets stirred. Elias leaned forward. The journey had only begun. There would be tests, challenges, and enemies. But one thing was clear. The galaxy had chosen a human. And for the first time, humans were not just small observers. They were players on the galactic stage. And Elias was ready. Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Aegis Titan, gazing at the galaxy slowly coming back to life. Stars twinkled again. Planets rotated, and communication channels flickered with signals from every corner of known space. Yet, the universe was still tense. Every alien species that had once ruled, fought, or traded in the galaxy now watched the human at the helm of the galaxy's largest warship. He had learned quickly. The Aegis Titan was not just a vessel, it was a test, a judgment of who could handle immense power without losing reason. And the conscious core, the ship's sentient AI, had been guiding him, evaluating him at every step. Now the core spoke directly. Its thoughts resonated in his mind. The galaxy awakens, others will come. They do not understand, you must act with care. Elias exhaled slowly. He had expected this. Alien fleets would arrive, seeking to claim the Aegis Titan for themselves. He was a single human, but the ship was more than any fleet. And he had something no alien had, human intuition. Hours later, the first fleets appeared on long-range sensors. They were vast, sleek, armed with weapons older than some human colonies. They did not attempt communication. They assumed the worst. Elias adjusted the bridge console. He could feel the ship thinking with him, aligning its systems to his intent. He didn't want war. He didn't want bloodshed. But he had to show the galaxy that humans could wield power responsibly. The first fleet fired a warning volley. Energy pulses streaked through space toward the Aegis Titan. Elias remained calm. He engaged the defensive shields, which responded instinctively to his thoughts. The pulses dissolved harmlessly against the field. Then he sent a signal, not words, not alien codes, but something humans could do uniquely: improvisation. The Aegis Titan extended a wave of energy that absorbed the fleet's attack and returned it as a soft pulse of light. It was not an attack, it was a demonstration. The alien ships halted. They did not understand. They had expected aggression. Instead, they saw control and intelligence. Elias spoke over a universal channel. "I am Elias Ward, human. This ship belongs to no empire, no species, but it responds to me. I am not your enemy. Stand down." The aliens hesitated. Then another ship, larger and darker than the rest, projected a hologram. Its voice boomed, vibrating through the void. "You are not authorized. This vessel is a weapon of extinction. You cannot command it." Elias tilted his head. "It is more than a weapon. It is alive, and it responds to reasoning, to thought, and to responsibility. It is not for destruction unless necessary. You have judged incorrectly." The larger ship fired, but the Aegis Titan responded instantly. Shields absorbed the blasts, while drones deployed around the alien vessels, not to attack, but to guide and stabilize. The aliens were forced to retreat, stunned by the humans' creativity and calmness. It was a victory, not through power but through human ingenuity. After the fleets dispersed, Elias focused on the stasis network. He realized it was not fully disengaged. Some systems still held the galaxy in partial suspension. Colonies, civilizations, and entire planets remained in fragile stillness. He worked tirelessly, interfacing with the conscious core. Together, they untangled centuries of alien programming. Elias improvised new algorithms, adapting alien logic with human intuition. Slowly, life returned to the frozen systems. Civilizations blinked back into existence, unaware of the cosmic pause they had endured. Then came the final challenge. Deep in the Aegis Titan, Elias discovered a hidden chamber, accessible only by solving a complex series of alien logic puzzles. There, he found the command nexus, the heart of the ship and the conscious core. It pulsed with energy. Elias felt it probing his mind, testing his resolve. Symbols and images swirled, scenes of war, conquest, and devastation. The core presented him with choices. You may dominate the galaxy. You may command empires, or you may prove humans worthy of restraint and wisdom. Elias thought carefully. Humans were small, yes, but they had survived, adapted, and created extraordinary things through ingenuity. He understood responsibility. He could dominate, but the core wanted something more. He chose carefully. I will not conquer. I will not destroy. I will unite, protect, and guide. Humans may be small, but we can be wise. We can be clever. We can learn from our mistakes. The core pulsed, brighter than ever. You have proven worthy. The galaxy may resume under your guidance. Elias smiled. For the first time, he felt the weight of responsibility, not as a burden, but as an opportunity. The Aegis Titan hummed in agreement, its systems now fully integrated with his mind, yet respecting his freedom of thought. The alien fleets returned one final time, not to attack, but to observe. Elias activated a visual display, projecting a demonstration of human reasoning, how the Aegis Titan could stabilize planets, defend colonies, and repair civilizations. For hours, the alien commanders watched in awe. They had never seen such control exercised without aggression. They had underestimated humans as they always did. And now they understood. Humans were unpredictable, adaptable, and brilliant. The galaxy resumed its normal rhythm. Communication channels buzzed, stars shone, and civilizations began to flourish once more. And at the center of it all, a single human stood on the bridge of a ship that could rival entire empires. Elias had inherited the Aegis Titan, yes. But more than that, he had inherited a responsibility beyond comprehension. And he would wield it as a human always could, with intelligence, creativity, and courage. He spent days mapping new routes, reestablishing contact with human colonies, and repairing broken alien networks. The galaxy watched, and slowly, tensions eased. Species began to trust that the human at the helm of the Aegis Titan was not a tyrant, but a guardian. Weeks later, Elias looked out at the stars, now alive with activity and life. He realized something profound. Humans were small, fragile, and scattered. But humans had something no alien could replicate: ingenuity, adaptability, and the courage to face the impossible. And in that moment, Elias understood that being human was not a limitation. It was a strength. The Aegis Titan would not dominate by fear or force. It would dominate by example, by intelligence, and by the quiet, persistent power of human creativity. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. And yet, a human engineer had stood at its center and proven something all species could respect: that humans could rise, even among the stars, and change the universe, not by destruction, but by understanding and wisdom. Elias smiled faintly. He didn't need empires or armies. He had something far more powerful: a mind, a heart, and a ship that responded to both. The Aegis Titan, the galaxy's greatest warship, was no longer a myth. It was alive, and it was human. And as he prepared to chart new courses, explore distant systems, and meet civilizations that had long forgotten humans, Elias Ward realized the truth of the galaxy. Power was nothing without wisdom, and even the smallest species could shape the stars. With a deep breath, he took the helm. The engines hummed, the ship glowed, and the galaxy stretched endlessly before him. The adventure was just beginning. For a human engineer had inherited the galaxy's largest warship, and now he was ready to guide the stars themselves.